there's a lot of really this partnership with suddenly. I don't want to PhD right now. Yeah. I, I figured it might guys think about it. So, you're probably like, I know somebody's asking for more money, so when I have the way for it. Yeah, absolutely. Like, you can just, ask a simple question. Yeah, so just, I'm gonna, all right, I'm gonna introduce you and also say that you've got to, give some slides to give away. Yeah, so, yeah. I'm testing. I'm just testing to see if you guys can hear me online. If you can, give a thumbs up in the chat or do something. Do a dance, sing a karaoke. Perfect. Starting 4 months. Oh, thanks. Yeah, not good for those who are actually here.
No, that's fine. Oh, it's fine.
Yeah, not good. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. If you don't mind, just coming quickly. Hey, Julian, how you going, mate? Coming in quickly and grabbing a seat. Hopefully, you've all grabbed some pizza to eat and hopefully something to drink as well. I kid you guys not. This is the first time ever we're gonna have pizza left over at BlueCon. Aza. Anyways, thanks so much everyone for coming. Really, really great to have you here. If you're wondering why I'm not excited this time, I think I'm coming down with something, but I'm gonna try as much as I can to carry the spirit on because you know what, the show must go on. If you don't know who I am, my name is Sammy Chucks, and I'm the founder and CEO of Cyberlink. And at Cyberlink, we are pretty much on a mission to train and empower 10 million people globally by the year 2050. And our focus area is on underserved, developing countries and places and communities. So whilst we provide training to everyone, when you buy a course or a program from us or anything from us, a portion of whatever you buy actually goes to help sponsor someone else's training in places like Papua New Guinea, not just Africa as well, but Africa as well, and regional Australia as well. So yeah, we've got some pretty exciting things. We are pretty much a few weeks away from our platform launch, so keep an eye on that. There's going to be quite a lot of deals and giveaways. So just if you haven't followed us on LinkedIn, I'll show you guys how to do that. But before I get into all of that about Cyberlink and whatnot, if this is your first time coming to BlueCon, can I please get you to put your hand up? First ever BlueCon. Come on, put your hand down, Mel. Wow, okay, this is awesome. Thanks so much, everyone. If you made it, this is the only one and only Pepper teaming meetup in the whole of Australia. And I'm still waiting for someone to tell me, nah, that's not. A community of people who not only know how to defend or know how to attack, but want to do both, wants to understand how threat actors think and also how to defend against that sort of adversarial mindset. So welcome. You're now officially part of the Blue Crew, whatever. How you pronounce that? Welcome on board. Awesome. We also have people watching us today, obviously as part of our mission to democratize cybersecurity education globally as part of the BlueCon mission. We've got people watching here today from Ghana, from Nigeria as well. So can we please say hello to them and say welcome to the stream? All right, some quick housekeeping. So if you haven't been to BlueCon before, you're probably wondering where do I go to, to do my business. If you just go out there, right out in the front. So once you start walking out of the building, right in the middle of the hallway, just walk all the way down to the very end, and you should see a restroom there, so you can do your thing. Aside from that, I would also like to welcome someone who's has been a major motivator and a coach and mentor to me as well as everyone here. Loki, this guy ran 100 kilometers non-stop. So I don't know. He's got blisters to show for it. I'm like, yeah, just do it for us, bro. Just do it for us. Now, look, I want to welcome Vong Shank, the CEO and founder of Sidearms. So he's actually got some really cool swags to give out today if you can answer his questions. I warn you, it might have something to do with incident response. But with that, let's give it up for Vaughn.
Thanks, Sammy. So as Sammy said, I'm Vaughn Shanks, the founder and CEO at Sidearm Technologies. Before we go on, I'd just like to take just a moment to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we live and work on. I'm based right here, by the way, in Stone and Chalk. So we're talking about the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. So I'd just like to extend, our acknowledgement to their elders, past, present, and emerging. With that out of the way, we are proud sponsors here of Cyber BlueCon. Sidearm, just a bit about the platform. We are a case management platform for SOC, so for Security Operations Centers. The platform includes fine-grained access control, automation, and integrated playbooks. So a lot of advanced features beyond just case management. And we like to think it's a great user experience as well. And we're also strong believers that no one who works in a SOC should ever go without socks. So I'm going to, I've very carefully, now actually hastily 5 minutes before this, prepared some questions that people who work in a SOC would probably be able to answer. Goodness me, I've got way too many questions here. I'll pick a few. All right, so I'll take hands up for anyone who wants to answer. What do in cybersecurity operations? What is the acronym? What does it stand for? IOC. Anyone? Right here. Oh, very good.
Oh no.
Our first lucky winner. Okay, who can tell me for a pair of socks? What port is DNS typically found on? We'll take blue shirt in the glasses back there. What port? No. But good guess. I was going to ask a question that had that answer, but I won't now. Yep. Over here. Correct. All right. Next question. In a security operations center, you have what's called a SIEM. SIEM. What does it stand for?
Oh, that's a good one.
Over here, brown jacket.
That's a good one.
It's actually security information. You got the right. Nice work. It's nice work. All right. Still going here. 2 more to go. All right. What does C2 usually stand in the context of a threat actor? Yes, in the front. Correct. Always a goodie. If you see one of those, be alert, not alarmed. And oh, well done.
All right. Look, I say that without it happening, out, also sponsor the pizza, the drinks. So if you're having fun, them, and if your workplace is looking for a case management, that's good. All right. The as well is what the CEO of cyber operations at Segura. So you can imagine how busy my life is. But Segura has been one of those really, really amazing organizations where they've not only allowed me to do the things that I care about, but also stretch out their hands to help the cybersecurity community here and encourage and mindset, right? Which is not just putting your head in the sand, but finding out what is going out there in the threat landscape. So Secura is a managed security services company, and they also support business resilience as well. So can you guys all give it up for Secura, if anyone is watching? All right. What I was saying before about cybersecurity. So who here wanted to get promoted in cybersecurity? Okay, cool. Now, who here thinks that the education, I'm guessing you've done either a TAFE course or a university degree or a master's, who here thinks that prepared them for the real world and they're excited and ready? All right. Okay. So that's where Cyberlink comes in. So we are not against TAFEs. We're not against universities. They do their job great. They do such an awesome job at teaching you the fundamentals of cybersecurity. It turns out cybersecurity is not an entry-level job. So if you're wanting to get into cybersecurity, I'll be a lot of sleepless nights, pain, but fun that awaits you. So what we do is we have practical hands-on training that you need to be able to land a job in cybersecurity. So there are 3 key products that we have. So one of them is the Job Ready Tracks. The Job Ready Track is literally designed for someone going to do when I finish. Our Job Ready Tracks take you from to landing a job. So it's and when you sign up for our Job Ready Track, you actually get assigned a coach, and that coach would literally hit you on the head every single week to ensure that you obviously you have the accountability that is required to be able to land a job. And then we actually have a bunch of different courses that you can buy as well if you don't want to buy the Job Ready Track, and certifications as well. So we've partnered with a lot of vendors which I cannot make known now until we launch our platform. So our platform launch is going to be happening in a few weeks, but we're still taking clients. So if you're looking at wanting to get into cybersecurity or get promoted or get a new skill, say you're a cybersecurity analyst, wondering what does a live in incident response look like, and you want to have a chat and maybe get into incident response, come have a chat with us. We actually have QR code as well that you can use to follow BlueCon on LinkedIn, but you can also use that to follow Cyberlink as well and book a free strategy session special for BlueCon family. So if you're here, you get a free strategy session, which is 1 hour where we spend time with you with an expert cybersecurity coach, and they create a unique cybersecurity roadmap for you. Who's been to a strategy session here? What did you get out of it? Keen to hear some brutal, honest feedback. You go, Niru.
I learned my path, like which way I going to in cyber.
Yep.
And like which knowledge I will get from this and all kind of things.
That's cool. Was it brutal or fun?
It's fun.
All right, awesome. That's good. Now, look, I think that's pretty much it from me. Look, for today, everyone saw the title. If you're a SOC analyst here, you know the drill, you know the pain. or if you've worked in the security operations center, you know the pain of P1s, you know the pain of force. Like if you're thinking of getting into the SOC, that we've got none other but than Robin here. Robin is such an amazing guy. It's just, like he's a security engineer, but he's actually got a story that he's going to share with everyone here, how he started his journey and how he hasn't had sleep for a while. No, I'm just joking. He's been studying nonstop since he started. But, Robin's story is actually a story of resilience and someone who just, persisted and kept going and see where he is today. So Robin is going to be taking us through how to deal with some of the line. There's this meme. It's critical, but yeah. But yeah, give it up for Robin. Oh, cool.
Intro. I think I don't have to go much further about. Both of them. Can you guys hear? Lovely. I can hear my own voice now. Beautiful. So going on to the main topic, P1 rabbit holes and real world blues of the analyst dilemmas in modern cybersecurity. So for today, I'm talking about how was my journey as a SOC analyst and what were the challenges I faced during my role and how did I overcome them. And there will be a lot of questions and sort of activities for you guys. So if you were to be an analyst, how would you triage? How would you tackle those situations? And we'll get started from here. So to give you a quick introduction about myself, my name is Robin. As Sammy mentioned, I work as a security engineer here at Cythera. It's been over 2 years as being a security engineer, and I've been working in the IT industry for past 7 years, but I've been in cyber for past 2 years. I'm a former international student and to classical music. So that's a bit about the introduction. Going on to the next bit is disclaimer. So just to give you a disclaimer that all the topics and the opinions are, which I will be presenting are my own. Doesn't represent like my. That's what I will be talking about. So my journey, security analyst. So pretty much so that's pretty much as of honor being a security analyst. So you're protecting the cyber industry, help save people's life as well. what kind of responsibility you would be undertaking as a security analyst. So it depends on the organization. It does not. You which and detections, but however, organization like they may vulnerability management, doing threat hunting, using security tools, maybe upgrading the security tools and a toolset or deploying those tools within your organization, which I do majorly. So as part of my role, so I help organization. And yeah, it greatly offers triaging. Post as well. So if you would want to go.
For those who know that. Did anyone get a link to that? It should have been on the event page. But that's all right. We'll go there eventually once we get to the.
So it's easy to type in as well if you have that link itself. So there will be a file called the RT or log file for workshop 1. Or you can use the phone as well. It's just a log file, it's a text file. So we'll be using those logs to analyze and answer these questions, help craft your story. And possibly if someone gets all the answers correct, well, which Sammy has somewhere. The first question is, how many failed login attempts are there before a successful login in that log? Third one is the source IP and the device consistent across all events? And fourth one is, what could this pattern indicate about the security of the account? The last one is, which actions would you recommend based on this log? So pretty much what we are doing here is we were analyzing those logs and answering this question. So as being a security analyst, so when you are triaging an investigation, you would be end up looking at these kind of logs where you would help craft those stories and present it to your, or if you're working in an MSSP or as an internal, so that will help understand what was targeted and what mitigation controls you will be taking in place. If anyone has answers, the TV is not working. All the answers. Sure. Easy.
GitHub/BlueCon0x0B, and then pick an email workshop.
Beautiful. Probably what we'll do is if you want to take a picture of this question, and we'll take this answer at the end, just to make sure we continue. Easy.
So if you want to start trying your hand at it, if you've done phishing email analysis before, go ahead and start giving it a go. And then at the very end, we'll just run through it together as a team.
Okay. Do you want to still continue?
Yeah, just skip past it because
Easy.
Something better to do at the end.
Easy. All right, guys. So we'll just move forward. Like if you would have taken a picture, if you still want to take a picture of these questions, take a picture. If not, we will move forward, and then we'll take those answers at the end, and probably we'll get you guys a swag. Beautiful. That's
We're gonna
be like, as we are desk security analyst. So while you are triaging, you may get thousands of investigation, and you started to realize the cultural shock of being a security analyst and a security investigator. So yeah, like you would have thought, when you start your career, you would be hacking like someone in the movies with a black screen and green text flowing around, and solving all these APT cases, or you will be deploying any zero-day vulnerabilities across people you're targeting. But instead, you are triaging all thousands of detections, hundreds of alerts coming into your Jira portal. You're Googling codes which you have never seen in your entire life. You're figuring out what the hell is happening here. And following with the customer, what is happening, is it expected, is it benign, you're not sure, just figuring, and if trying to figure out what's happening. So yeah, so that's the cultural shock when you started. And when I started, I was expecting the life would be easy, as a IT support, similar stuff. But nah, you were you had hundreds of alerts. You're trying to prioritize what should I alert, what should I triage, and who to contact. So yeah, so that's a cultural shock which I had when I started as my career as the analyst. But however, we will be deep diving into the incidents and what were the tactics I used to help myself with those issues or the dilemmas I faced when I was an analyst. So the one major issue I identified, was deep diving into us, and that's all good. Is all good? All good. So yeah. So the first issue I identified, like myself as a security analyst, like was I was like investing too much time into one single incident. I still remember like I had a multi-country detection. I spent probably 45 1 hour just to figuring out is it like is it benign or is it true positive or false positive. So a similar sort of scenario could happen like when you are on the hot desk and you're like, oh, this looks really really good detection, like I would want to go deep dive into it. You end up spending like 45 minutes to 1 hour realizing that was a false positive, that was an expected behavior, BAU for a business. And yeah, like you invest a lot of time, but however, when you invest so much time, you do miss critical events as well, because within 1 hour you may get more than 40 to 50 detections coming through your platform, like you have multiple customers if you're working for an MSSP. So yeah, I think prioritization is also very important. Like it's good to have the depth as well. However, like you need to have the perspective of what to triage and how much time you need to spend on a single investigation. So there are a few strategies which I use to help myself down the track when I like realize, oh, I'm spending a lot of time, and what techniques I would need to use to like minimize that time spent to be more efficient and more effective. The first thing is like to see what are the impacts, like like to see if it is critical alert, if it is hitting on like high mission critical device, or is it a VIP user, is it a sensitive system, if this machine goes down, will the whole business go down? So that's where you will start. So that's where you will start prioritizing those detections, and that's one of the key things. Second is you need to time box your deep dives. Don't spend too much time, like specifically spend 10 to 15 minutes, like if you are able to identify any more like information, any IOCs which looks bad, or if it looks false positive. So if you don't get much information out of it, so I would say jump on to the next one, or even like make some case notes, or help ask the team members like who are more experienced and seasoned. The third one is document and pivots, or just make some cases and move on to the next detection and ask for help, which is the last point. Like don't spend too much time, because sometimes like you want to be the man, but at the end you trying to like take the whole organization down. But if you're not sure about anything, like do ask your senior team members. They will be helping you, and that will help open your vision gap as well. Because if you have a tunnel vision, sometimes you just focus on one thing, you just forget about the other stuff. So that's mostly about triaging. So the next item is the vulnerability management. So you could see there are a lot of tools there are a lot of images I've mentioned, which are the tools in the market which we use, like Sneak, Tenable, Qualys, public facing like asset vulnerability assessment, like Sneak for AppSec investigation, and Rapid7 and Tenable, they do internal and external vulnerability management for organization. So yeah, if you're interested, just Google them. That will give you a lot of information on these tools, and also it will help you prepare for interview, because like using some fancy words in interview to help you make more confident and qualified. Like so that will probably give you some overview and insights on what are these tools, and what do they do as well. So the main issue with vulnerability management is a lot of information, like like you are diving with thousands and thousands of CVEs, thousands and thousands of vulnerability across thousands of assets. So like you get like kind of paralyzed with that amount of information which you've never seen in your entire life, and you are confused. This amount of data, this amount of large volume of data, and then start like being overwhelming, like for yourself. And because again you would end up spending a lot of time investigating one single CVE, another one. So that's the massive issue, I think, when I identified when I was like being part of vulnerability manager for some organization, and I end up spending more time than what it was expected as a program was running as a patch advisory board for an organization. So yeah, and also like when you see this amount of data, you like the, I would say, keeping, which is very, very tiring, I would say. However, like, while we're threat hunting, like, we know what shoot rabbits here, like, it's just looking for IOCs and threat indicators within the organization. So yeah, no rabbits were harmed in this hunting. Beautiful. So threat hunting. The main issue or main problem or not risk, I would say, main problem or main issue as a threat hunter is where to start. Like, what should I do? Where do I begin? And how deep do I need to go to find something valuable or which is important for me to like report back to the organization? So the massive issue is the scope creep. So it is too broad. Like, you've got too much information, and like you're just going in one rabbit hole, going one direction, but you have like 10 different paths to follow, and you're not able to identify anything because of the too much data, and there are like endless logs, and there are a lot of indicators because there are people love to install different kind of softwares in the endpoint. Like if someone is having a move mouse like app, which during COVID time a lot of people might have done to like look themselves active. And people would install third-party random PDF solution, and like which may give backdoor to the threat actors to gain access on devices. That's something which I would love to see in a threat hunt. But however, someone moving a mouse, it's not active ISOs. However, that's also not identifiable. Like people are doing some kind of shady stuff. That also parks into the false leads. What are the objectives? Any goal is like, okay, I'm just gonna scroll through these logs, and then when you may miss something. So how would you like help yourself? How did I help myself while performing threat hunting for my organization? First thing is like start with a hypothesis, like who are you threat hunting? What organization do you work for? Are you a government organization? Are you a healthcare sector? So you need to identify what kind of like IOCs or threat actors are actively engaging in those kind of attacks targeting your organization. So looking for those IOCs, those IPs, or those applications which they have used to exploit and get a foothold in those settings. Like what country as well. Like country is very important because a lot of threat actors, they target specifically like maybe USA, maybe China, maybe Australia, Japan. So sometimes these threat actors have like motives behind it. So like finding those indicators, it's very important. Second bit is like clear defined objective. So like you're looking at. So you would want to look at the high value targets, like your crown jewels first, as opposed to looking everything. So let's say if you have these servers or these devices are very important for the organization. If these goes down, like then the whole organization goes down. So that's where you would start doing threat hunt and running those like I would say searches, like based on those IOCs that will help identify like if there's something being in the environment, and also leverage the right data. As I mentioned, like you would want to look at the right information. Like if you're looking for any rogue DNS lookup, so we would want to look up the DNS queries. We would want to see the IP addresses which has communicated to. What are the file hashes being present onto this device, like prefetch, startup scripts, and those sort of things. You would want to look into, not everything. Last bit is around collaboration, because threat hunting is like a massive task. It's not just like one man army, like one man thing. Like you would not want to do by yourself, because you would want to have other perceptions. So that collaboration, and that helps speed up the process and getting more ideas and way to do things. So that's very important, collaborating with your team. If you have a team of 5, 10, like make sure you get them involved and get them on it as well, because everyone has like different kind of ideas that will help get things done in a swiftly manner. Last bit is around documentation and refinement. However, if you do a first thread hunting, you will always be confused because you don't know what you're doing. But as you do it more often, as you document and then you know like what's the process and what techniques you will be using, and then you can follow different platforms which do provide those IOCs, and you can run those queries against your theme solution, or like to identify those thread indicators. So yeah, I think document and refinement is very important in thread hunting, because first one is hard, but as you move forward, you will be much faster, much more quicker. And thread hunting is a cyclical process, because it happens every probably you may want to do it every quarterly or every month, depending on your organization budget, because you will not want to do only once, because thread hunt is you're hunting down something bad. If you hunt something bad for once, and if you just sit down and watch, you would not find anything. So you have to do it on a regular basis. So it may happen like every quarterly, or 6 months or a year basis. So that's what thread hunting is about, and what these are the strategies on thread hunting. So before I move forward, I've got a small question or a quiz. So what do cybersecurity experts do when their defense mechanisms sound a bit rock band on stage, too loud in some places, too quiet in others, and way too many false alarms? There are 4 options. First is headbanging, second patching, C tuning, or D jamming. Gentleman in the white jumper, C tuning.
I was going to say, hey, I've had enough headbanging. I've had enough headbanging in my career.
Two of them basically, right? Headbanging and tuning. So
Headbanging and tuning.
tuning is the sort of the logical part. Yeah.
That's it.
Tuning at the same time as headbanging.
I think both the answers are correct, but yeah, I would love to go with the tuning, because tuning is the key for your security tools to perform better. Like, it's similar to like your guitar. Like, if your guitar is not tuned properly, it will sound very awful. Like, you don't want to hear that noise. And same thing goes with the security tool. If you haven't tuned it well, you would get thousands of detections, which you don't want to triage them, because they are like maybe false positive, and it's flooding your Jira ticket and pretty much breaking that system on its own. So yeah, tuning is the way to go to make sure that security tools you have in place, they perform better, and they are in sync, and it's melodious while you're working at work, so you don't want to have a nightmare shift. Tuning challenges. So there are a bit of challenge involved in tuning. Tuning is not an easy task. Saying just go turn off detections and then go sleep. So that's not tuning. So it's more about optimizing your tool set, like a CM solutions, if you're using XDR, SOAR, or any other platform. I know tuning could be time consuming, because identifying what needs to be tuned is very time consuming, because you need to go through all your backlogs, what kind of detections are coming through, what are you tuning multiple times, are you triaging these detections multiple times? Have you seen this this specific detection 100 times in past 10 days? That's something which you would want to look into. But however, going through the process, going back, looking at that information, so it is time consuming, because you have you may be working in a big organization, you have lots and lots of alerts coming in, and tuning requires constant readjustment, because it's not one time thing. You have to do it you have to review these alerts, or all those alerts every month or so, and then you would want to go back and constant adjustment, making sure that it is working perfectly. You don't want to turn off the detection and not know about what is happening in the environment. And also, as I mentioned, tuning goes wrong, you may just miss out a critical detection or an incident. So that's where it could be challenging, because you would want to hear about something very, very specifically like P1, but sometimes you may put a wrong regex and then kaboom, it's gone. So you don't hear about that stuff. So yeah, the impact, as I mentioned, it could increase a lot of false positive if you don't tune it well, or mislead alerts. There could be delays in incident detection if you haven't tuned well, and also alert fatigue and reduce efficiency. As I mentioned, if you get 100 detections, same detections every day, you would start ignoring them, because you'll think that's not important anymore, because I've seen this 100 times, that's false positive BAU, but sometimes that one BAU could be the nightmare. You would be cleaning up for past 1 week, or for the coming 1 week, not the past 1 week. So what are the best practices? What are the way to or the methodology to like tune and help yourself? Is first thing is like if you have implemented a security solution, you would want to baseline that security tool set, because generally like when you onboard a security tool, it comes with pre-existing rules and detection. Sometimes like they're not perfect as well, because it's cookie-cutted, like and already there. They haven't thought of your organization, and every organization behaves in different manner, different pattern. So you would want to baseline those investigations and then just want to monitor them regularly. So probably give them a week or two, just see what is coming through, and then triage them and see what's common and what is expected, and then close them off or track them notable. So even during a security event, so you could also see those track notable events within the platform. You would want to prioritize high impact rules as well. Like, as I mentioned in the past, what is high impact machines and environments. So look for those machines, high impact user accounts like VIP users or any domain admin accounts. So those would be like high impact. If those accounts do have some kind of movement or an abnormal behavior, so that's what you would want to triage on. That's what you would want to see. That's very important, because like your public facing assets, your domain DC, ADDCs, as I meant, and VIP users. So that's something where you would want to make sure that you have detection capability in place and you're monitoring them. Leverage automation. So like, yeah, as AI automation, everything is very important. So like automation will help you triage things which can be done effectively. Let's say if you see something bad, someone has clicked on a phishing link and dropped a ransomware on that endpoint. So you would want to use automation to take remediation action as soon as possible, because you don't want that to like spread across to your entire environment. So similar to like, what virus is. If you are sick, just isolate yourself, go home, take some warm water, go to sleep. Don't go out in public and spread out all those viruses. So pretty much like, if your device is feeling sick, contain it and then investigate it. So put some medicines on it. So similar to your human body, similar stuff you would want to leverage onto your end devices. If something is going bad, you would want to contain as soon as possible. You don't want to wait until tomorrow morning, someone wake up and like, oh, something as bad as happens and the thing is out of hand. Another bit is collaboration across teams. So as I mentioned, like collaboration helps, like, if problem shared, problem halved. So if you are like, if you have some issues, like, work with your dev team, like, and work together, to how do I manage this and get some perspective from the other department, because some other department, like IT department, may do things which look suspicious. Someone's running a PowerShell script, but that's a normal sysadmin role. Like, they would run PowerShell script to like do their job. Dev team would install random applications, but that's also part of their work. So just verify with them. That's like, that's part of the process. Like, these applications are used by the dev team or the security admin team. Just mark them notable and then have some tuning capability in between that. Document changes and outcomes, because when you tune, you may make an accidental change, which could cause like, I would say, gap in your detection. Like they may just tune something which is not normal. You're just closing off detection which is supposed to be there. So documenting that is also like having a change control that helps identifying if there's something has been changed and something has accidentally changed which wasn't supposed to be there. So which helps to keep clear record, and like, you don't want to make any mistakes. So that does help identifying any changes which have done, because if you made a change, go and then you go to sleep. Something similar to like what CrowdStrike did, like, but that does not require change control maybe. But yeah, if you just push a button and then just go home and you see the whole world having blue screen, so you don't want that similar situation for your organization. Again, it does require review every now and then, because you would want to come back to those detections and see if there is a new threat within the market. If we would want to detect on or suppress alerts on, like if there's some BAU situation. So yeah, you would want to review those changes, or also add some more detection capability. So you would want to detect on things which is ongoing threat. So yeah, as I mentioned, effective tuning is like a continuous process. In cybersecurity, everything is like cyclical. So you would want to come back, revisit the same thing again, because nothing is a one-time fix, because it's an ever-evolving industry. Things do change rapidly, and you would want to be rapid with the industry as well. So it's not a one-time thing. So you would want to come back again and again. moving on to the alert fatigue versus missing critical events. So what's alert fatigue? And and while you have alert fatigue, you may end up missing an actual security investigation. So like generally speaking, as if you don't have tuning in place, if you haven't done that, like you may end up having a lot of detection, and then that will create a lot of burnouts within your team. So that's something which you would want to look into. And then and then those 100 detections, they are false positive because they're BAU. If you haven't tuned, that creates like a mindset within the analyst, maybe like, oh, the next detection similar one, it's also false positive, and then they just close the ticket off. But like that could be a mission critical event, that could be an actual security incident. So yeah, too many noise can also can create problem, can create burnouts within the security team and decrease the vigilance across the SOC operations, and also risk missing critical security incidents. How would you manage that? As first item in this slide is like tune effectively. So that's one of the ways. Leverage automation and SOAR. Engage with your DevOps team or your security automation engineer to help review those multiple security event, or if you could take automatic action. Let's say if you see a user, your organization people are logging in from different location, you could leverage automation to soft sign them out as opposed to block the user account. So you want to re-authenticate them, challenge them their authentication that they are a legitimate user, that they haven't been compromised. Third bit is implement alert prioritization. Focus on high severity detection, even though you have a lot of detection, and if you have low informational, so you would want to see something which is critical and high severity detection, that will you would want to see what is high impacting alert first. And you would also want to use the threat intelligence as well, because even if you have a lot of alerts come through, so if you use SOAR, and that could leverage pull those IOCs from those alerts, and then you can match against the threat intelligence you have, and that would help you identify, oh, that's malicious, that's really bad. For example, as Van mentioned about the C2 servers, you don't want to see those C2 IP addresses in those alerts. If you see one of those, so you would want to jump onto those detection first. That will help mitigate or remediate the threat immediately. Review your workflows, alert workflows. So yeah, if you see something commonly coming into your environment, just review them. If it is BAU, you may have some flags, someone is using a PowerShell script. If it is signed PowerShell script, just want to tune it. Or if the specific users run this script at this time, you may want to tune that. So that's something which you would want to check. And also promote well-being across the team as well, because don't have long shift for your SOC team, because if you have 10-hour shifts for a SOC team, that's very bad, or 12-hour shift. So you would want to have some breaks. For example, if you're working for 12-hour long shifts, you may want to have after 2 hours, go for a 10 minutes break, just have some water, go for a walk, just get some fresh air. That will help you stretch out a little bit. So people if you don't rotate in your shift, that will create those fatigueness, and you may be tired and you may just miss on things. So yeah, need to balance between work and also and your actual life as well. So having the life work balance is very important. I feel everyone's quite sleepy, so I think I've got a question again. So I've got a question. So when your cybersecurity team is running around like a headless chook, what's the best way to give them a breather and help them focus on big gnarly cyber threats instead? A, buy everyone a slab of beer. If you want a beer, just I think 2 minutes away. Chuck everything into the too hard basket. C, automate the repetitive task. D, let the intern have a go. I think, yeah, interns are the one who has to do everything. It said C? Automate the repetitive task.
And after C, you do A.
Buy a slab of beer, yes.
Yeah, you got your priorities right, man. You got to do it.
You automate and then get drunk. That's good. That's it. Work smart, not hard. Thank you very much for the right answer. That's automation. So automation is the key to be effective and be efficient. However, like, automation is not always the right thing to go, but however, there's a balance between automation and also a human judgment. Because in cybersecurity, if everything, we will not be in jobs, so we will be looking for a job here. We will be like looking for automation. There is a balance, has to be a balance between automation and a human judgment. Like, main question is, the dilemma itself is like, how much should be automated? What what has to be triaged by a human? What could you automate? What can you auto respond and remediate threats? Because automation is like a fixed pattern. Like, if you tell the automation script, do that stuff, but a human would have an analytical brain which will think about what are the other impacts it could have. If you run an automation and which says, if you see someone running PowerShell script, just isolate everything. What if, like, you're running, if you're deploying an application as a system admin and then someone deploy via PowerShell, you're like containing all the endpoints. So, like, end up realizing the whole organization is contained, and the main servers also contain your company's down, like losing millions of dollars. So that's something that you would want to, like, not want to automate fully. So you would want to see, like, where you could automate, what could be the impact, and doing assessment. So that's where human mindset comes into effect, and need to find a balance between the automation and the human inside. The first way to automate is, like, just automate repetitive task. Like, a lot of organization, they would have people, like, traveling different countries, people like VIP users traveling different locations, because nowadays after COVID, everyone loves traveling, even myself. So yeah. But not the critical ones, because, like, running PowerShell script and containing those devices, like, it's a good way of dealing with, like, if for a real attack. But however, like, they would want to have some, like, gaps, like not gaps, some assessment before that as well. So automate any repetitive tasks, something which is very common, like comes around, like, multiple times, and then for non-critical ones, which would not have a massive impact on the organization, like user logging in from Russia, like they may have been compromised, but you could have an automation which will sign them out or disable the user account, and you can just specify what user base would be disabled, like, what user base will be targeted with the automation, not your service account. Like, if you just disable service account and your other softwares aren't working anymore. Build in human checkpoints. So let's say if one of your automation has take a decision to contain a threat, so what's next? So that's where the human judgment will come into effect. They will analyze it a bit more further and then define if it is true positive, false positive. If it is true positive, then they will start doing investigation further, because the automation end, it doesn't mean it ends the whole investigation. From there it begins the other investigation. The human will come into effect, and then they will triage, look for logs, and then define if it's true positive, false positive, and then they will do tuning if required, or just escalate it further if required be as well. But containing that threat was very important. So that's where that's where automation is helping us. Tuning feedback loops. So even automation is not perfect, like, so again, reassessing what you have done and then tune that specific workflow is also very important. Make AI explainable. So if any of you have used like CrowdStrike, they have Charlotte AI, which helps the analyst giving a sort of a brief overview of what has happened in that investigation. So that provides some context and help the human analyst to gain knowledge on what this alert is telling us about. Frame at the end, because at the end, need that story to craft what decision we'll make next. So that's where we could use AI and automation. And clear escalation part, as I mentioned, where human checkpoints comes into effect. Use automation, but like you can't replace a human judgment for an automation, because we are the one who build the automation, tune it as well. as having a human market, like a security workbench, because you need a human be a really effective. Um, like is yeah, you know, like because we don't know anything, like we start from some. We have to cybersecurity and again, so it's life is changing, ever changing. You will be a different person in the next 5 year, and also cybersecurity is changing every second. Just from Russia, like what they're gonna do, it's like next hour and to get all. It's ever evolving. The like no one knows every tool. Like there are thousands of tools in this market. Like you don't have to know everything, all the techniques, all the threats. Like collaboration always beat like being a single superhero. If you collaborate, you will have different mindset that will help understand different perspective, because seeing things from different lens, put a different shoe, you understand the other perspective as well. What more is willingness to ask question. If you're unsure, if you don't know anything, like what does this mean, and like they will help you with like with the answer, and you'll learn a lot while you ask more questions. And openness to keen and keen on learning as well. Keep learning, keep grinding. If you like, they never stop, I would say. If like just Google it, like if you're not sure about like, and then learn from there. Like there are a lot of training platforms. Got one just right there, Cyberlink. So yeah, Cyberlink with the one. So be open to learn, and I know job training people and getting them onboarded in the cyber industry. And yeah, I think is like you learn most when you fail, because you know where your weaknesses are, and then you grow more harder and more stronger, and you rise really quick. But yeah, just be open to like and fail, and keep and always be curious, I would say, because if you don't have if in your head career, and be humble, that keeps you like that keeps you growing. Security industry, about their security. The security analyst mentioning working in cybersecurity is not stressful at all. So Peter 30. Sorry. Soft promotion. Haven't got the security, and it was security analyst, and multiple like can it's not security analyst, but however is the first entry level position from my perspective, because that's what I've asked. There are other areas which you would want to grow and learn. I think it's pretty fun. There are multiple where you would want to go through, like, SecOps, you would want and getting inside. It's not just a security analyst or security engineers. There's more to it. And yeah, as I mentioned, curiosity will always. Thank you all for joining today and being here. And yeah.
Good. Guys, can we give it up for him again? Guys, standing here and public speaking is always the Blue Crew. They're some of the best bunch you can ever. So, man, that was awesome, man. Good on you. Yeah, let's. This is just There's
So I know you're very specific, but you like I'm starting right now, so just thinking of what projects I could do to add.
As for security analyst, like be a security engineer, I would say having a home lab would be the first way to go. So you would want to, which you can help form a story for yourself. Like, let's say for 90 days open source, where you can use detection logics that will help understand what kind of alerts you can create, and from there triaging, like make out of it. And same thing that will help, like, and if you are in an interview, be like, I've done this, I've created these detection logics. That, I think, that puts a huge massive value while you formulate the stories, because in an interview, when you're like mentioning these stories, people value the stories, how you have degree.
all right. All right, I'll have a go.
You mentioned a very good point that AI, like automation, never replaced a human, but now in tech specifically, we see a lot of like replacement of humans, saying, "Oh, AI is more efficient, more sort of, I would say, cheap and everything." Is that because the businesses stand when they don't understand that actually the human's not replaceable completely, and that's why in the short term, yes, it's profitable, but in the long term, it's unknown, with AI and that massive automation is a very is terra incognita basically, and in the long term, in 10, 15 years, business can have a huge impact of like trying to overwhelming the existing humans with a lot of automation, a lot of AI and everything, and just it's going to be an unbearable machine and stuff, right? Is that what's happening?
All right, I'm just going to summarize the question. So your question is, will AI replace humans?
Not really. Is that because there's a misunderstanding between like you're basically the person in the trenches. That's why you understand that a human will never be replaced by AI and automation completely, because there's always some tuning and everything. Machine is going to be always below the creator, basically, of human, like you said, because we created the automation in the first place. But that's where I think the disconnection between business and the trenches is, because the business sees only profits and everything, but profits could be a very short-term thing, but in the long term, it brings to a huge collapse and just a lot of strains and stuff. So when you have a huge automated machine on you, so instead of having 5 people tuning it, you have 1, 2 people tuning it. It's a lot of stress on the 2 people, right?
All right, okay. I'm just going to let him answer the question. So I heard a lot of questions there. So one is, will AI replace people in cybersecurity? And two, will businesses essentially prefer to use AI as opposed to using humans because they might likely make more profit with? And is it true the AI would never? That's
First question, AI replace, like potentially yes, but it will never replace, because it can reduce the human workforce, but will not replace it completely, because there would be someone needed to like what if I come into your room and turn off the machine? AI is gone. So someone has to. So I think someone like, I think it will. Let's say if 10 people are working a single job, the AI could help reduce 10 people to 5 or 3. That's the like. I think that's the future we are leading towards with the help of AI. For the second question, is will AI?
it's more so like, will business prefer to use AI over?
Down the track, I think like for example, I would say business just evolving, things evolve. Like back in the and you never had a smartphone, you had a wired phone, you had a cell phone. People slowly start to adapt on these new technologies. That's going to happen. That certainly will be happening. Everyone is having back, always getting into AI business. But yeah, I think the adaptation part is there. But however, it would again never replace a human as well, because as I mentioned, someone needs to be monitoring those tools. But business will use AI down the track, because that will make them more effective and be more use less resources and do. The third can't keep.
Let's go right into the workshop. AI mean for security work? As we go, careers that will potentially be impacted by AI. But there's one career that I know that AI is definitely not going to impact, which is being a plumber. So if you're a plumber, good. But yeah, cybersecurity is definitely the place to be, because this is where the future is. If you're not already upskilling yourself, learning how to do prompt engineering, which is something we actually train everyone on that in our courses. So I think we did do some prompt injection recently. Everyone had fun. Some people were doing it till 5 a.m. So that's essentially one of the things that we provide. So we don't just teach you cybersecurity just like everyone else does. We actually infuse things that will help you into the future in there as well. So look, let's give it up for Robin again. All right, everyone, can you please stand and stretch a little bit? Just do a dance or something. I don't know. Yeah, look. Yeah, Ned Knight. Can you grab the laptop so we can start? What did you lose? Yeah. Don't use that. I'll let you. I'll run it from there.
Okay, cool.
You're fine with that.
I can still use it.
Oh, I think you should probably right because you've been going for a while.
Yeah, like either way, like I'm happy. Like you can run it. It's fine.
I'm happy to do it. Yeah, that's all right.
So you would want to go from there?
Yeah. So if you go there and just sort of run through this and then I'm running. So we're basically just going to start initially with a manual analysis
Okay.
of one of the emails.
Yeah.
Just do a quick manual look through,
Yeah.
looking at the header,
Yeah.
and then we'll use in our security for the rest.
So there.
Oh. Yeah. And then you can just show it on that TV for those who are watching.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, it's all right. Hello, how you going? Nice to meet you. You need to have a security? Let's take a photo for real. That's all right. You can just ask. Yeah, it's part of the photo. I'm happy to do any pose you want. Yeah, let's do that. You want? I'll just get someone to take a photo. Yeah, like I've got this. You want to have us take a photo? All right. With the sign? You want to come in? Yeah. Happy to see you. Yes, we're doing that. 3, 2, yeah, that's going to be here. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Yeah. It's insane. Yeah, this is monthly, and obviously we do have train checking cybersecurity. So you guys, it's done. Yeah, it's not easy. It's hard. Even after that, I've done it so many times. Every time, you know. So good. Yeah, so I'll have a chat with you guys and just do the workshop now. So you guys have the laptop, you can sort of do the workshop. Just scan that red thing. You can actually video them. It's when I'm like simulating a break. Alright. I'm going to continue that time. Yeah, I'm saying so you can use that to see after a while. Always yeah, so how many years how long that have you been doing for? So you're falling to not 1 year left. Yeah. So our program actually is there as an intention before. So still love job ready tracks. They're really good. Yeah, job ready tracks. So the way it works is much intention. So we got negligent data. I never had that issue.
I came in early, but I'm gonna leave.
Yeah, that's fine. I know you're going with it. Yeah. Thanks so much, Andre, for sharing, mate. Give me a second. All right, we're going to start in about 2 minutes. So the workshop begins in 2 minutes, and we're going to have to rush that one. Yeah. Sorry. No. Amen. Well, now. Someone went a little bit over. All right. It's time to have fun with Maui. That's all we do here. Hey, can you fun? Hello, everyone. Excuse me. All right, guys, it's time for. And then yourself, you obviously know what a phishing email is. It's one of the emails you receive where you have like $100 in your bank account, right? You're like, money, and then they tell you, oh, just give us $100 to help you release the money. And then when you pay $100, we know carry harvest credential investing and a whole bunch of malicious activities that you can find in a phishing email. So for today's workshop, if you're not already on the GitHub, so not the GitHub, GitHub repository, go on there and download the workshop files. So that actually includes a bunch of phishing emails that we're going to be analyzing. So we're going to be doing two things. We're going to be analyzing it manually. So essentially some manual analysis. Now, this is some of the things you want to land a job in cybersecurity, or if you want to get what to look for, where those things are placed in a receive, some of the types of attacks that threat actors like to to send out or perhaps try to use to get access to client environments. I'll be here demonstrating this here. Robin will be over there on the other side, just in case you cannot see my screen on this side. I'm doing exactly the same thing as well. So Robin, just let me know once you're ready to go. Let's go. Perfect. What file are we starting with? MFA. All right. So I downloaded this. Actually, did have some questions. Do you want to find out who won that exercise? Did anyone answer those questions? Mostly. All right. So just stay behind. That's an email to send it to. Sorry. Yeah. So we did it. So go on the workshop files, the zip file. I'll probably creating a new repository. A new folder on your computer. I do recommend using a VM for this, but just for the, if I can type, and then our code word up. Infected. All right, so it's inside of BlueCon0x0B, and we right click on this and then essentially try to use 7-zip to unzip it. Zip more, and then extract it to the same folder. So let's do that, and it's going to ask me for a path. Infected, all lowercase. I'm going to type that now. If you are following along, I think we did have a file downloaded. Perfect. So you should have a bunch of phishing emails. Some of them basically carrying, some of them BEC, which is business email compromise. Some of them is just carrying malware. Some of them have malicious links in it. Some of them is trying to trick you to put in your credentials in there, which is it's called a credential harvester. So Robin, are you ready for us to do the MFA? What is the file name? All right, cool. Now, when you get an email and you try to export that email, typically that email will be saved with an extension. So that extension essentially says that it's an email file. If you want to open an email file, typically you need something like an email client. One of the most popular email clients out there is Thunderbird. Now, for this particular case, we don't necessarily want to open this in an email file, because if we open it in an email file, we're essentially loading the HTML that is in the email. Right. In case you didn't know, emails are usually actually rendered in HTML. So because of that, we don't want to load that in that way. We're going to just use some random text editor to see if we can explore this manually, statically, without having to dig into it with some dynamic tool like what we're going to show you guys, Sublime Security. So for that reason, you probably need something like maybe if you have Visual Studio Code on your computer, you can use that. If you have Notepad++, you can use Notepad++. If you have Sublime Node Editor, not Sublime Security. If you have Sublime Node Editor, you can actually right-click on that and then open it as. So you guys can see what I'm doing. So if you go to open with, you can find out what you can open it with. Now, if you notice, it's trying to tell me to open that with Outlook. I don't want to do that. The reason for that is because it's an EML file extension. So we want to go do something else. Now, typically, because Windows uses some dynamic, extension lookup, Windows will tell you that, hey, I don't see anything else that can open this because I know it's this type of file. So typically what you need to do yourself is to actually go open the application you want to open it with. So in this case, we want to do Notepad++, right? I'm just going to use Notepad++. Robin is probably using something different. What are you using? Sublime. All right, let's stick to the same thing. I think I do have Sublime here. Yep. So if you don't have Sublime text editor, go and download one. I've got some lab I was working on here. You want to see some free passwords? Don't worry, it's from from some lab I was doing. I had to generate some passwords. Yeah. Don't worry, it's actually, let me be honest, it leads directly into my Cyberlink bank account. I guarantee you there's nothing in there to grab. All right, so what we want to do is you can either drag and drop this file in here and it open. This is the quickest, easiest way to do it without having to muck around with it. Just drag and drop the file. Did I drop? Oh, yeah, new technology. So we're looking for the MFA file, so let's drag and drop that one. All right, cool. Now, I know a lot of people here already know how to analyze email. So without having to speak to the choirs, I'm going to choose you. What's your name again? I've forgotten. What's your name? I'm trying to remember. It's not Justin. Oh, now you gentlemen, the one I'm looking at, you're staring at me. What is your name? No. I'm gonna go point right now.
You're the one I'm thinking.
Bring you guys along with this, right? You're not a captive audience. That's one of the awesome things about BlueCon is we're all here to have fun, eat some good pizza, and maybe hack something or defend something. Who knows, right? So I know you've done some phishing email analysis before. So if you're doing a manual phishing email analysis, what are the things to look out for? That's all right. By the way, this is a safe place. It's okay not to know. Multi-factor off. Downloaded the file. You can Sublime text editor, including Notepad. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, that's a good place. It said sender and receiver for those online. Now, one of the things I was talking to you, that I show people that are on our Job Ready Track program, which is when we have our weekly mentorship session, is often there is this temptation when you're starting out in cybersecurity for you to want to know everything, want to have an answer to everything. It's one of the biggest things that fail you in an interview, right? I'm a hiring manager, so when I'm interviewing someone, once I ask them a question and they just keep rambling on, that actually no red flag, right? So one of the things I appreciate is you don't know it, just say I don't know, and then you guys free up already. I haven't quite come across. I'm still studying, and do not leave that interview without asking the person back the question they asked you. So if you didn't know the answer to it, ask them, how would you approach this? The same question they asked you, throw it back at them. And that shows that you're someone who's curious and someone who's passionate and actually wants to keep learning. So, all right. Aside from that, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thanks for contributing. Mate, I was going to ask you, but I know you've been in the game for a while. So, how long have you been in cybersecurity? Oh, cool. Awesome. All right. Tell me. That's good. Well done, mate. Tell me, what would you find? What would you look for typically in a phishing email? Yeah, looking for links. Yeah, that's good. I saw that one. Oh, by the way, I'll tell you guys a story. I was interviewing someone yesterday, obviously reading from ChatGPT. It's like, yeah, the DHCP server. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, in an interview. So it was an online interview. So I can guarantee you that he definitely did not get the job. But anyways, back to here. So now typically when you're phishing email, the first thing you want to look out for is essentially the email header. Now, before you even get to the email header, because in some cases you don't even get access to that, is just having a very quick scan of the sender. Now, there is a way to disguise who the actual sender is, right? By having something called an alt text, right? So when you have something in HTML, you can actually have that be, right? So it's alternative. So what threat actors can do is they can literally just say, here's the email, here's the name, so you can see in here, and then they'll tell you that that email is actually something else. And this is essentially where sometimes you get an email, it appears as though you're getting that email from Netflix, but in actual sense, it's from, I don't know, my uncle in, back in Nigeria. But because of that, so you want to actually just visually observe the email, avoid moving your mouse around. Now, this one is a very tricky one. Threat actors can actually have white labeled links. We've done this lab in Cyberlink platform where you can't see the text, but there's still a link there. So if you're randomly moving your mouse, you can actually click on a malicious link without knowing it because the color of the text is in white. So that's another trick that threat actors use. So you want to do that visual, sort of look around. Another thing that threat actors do as well is something called a typo squatting. Does anyone know what typo squatting is here? I'm going to give out a present for this one. I'm not Cyberlink people. Sorry, you guys go. I'll give you something, David. Wait, you already got a present tonight. Someone else? Let's know what type of squatting is. And the nice. No takers? Oh, I'll let you go. Toasty.
Try to mimic an authentic website.
Yep.
So say something like, how can I use? Say,
Facebook is a good one.
for instance,
Oh, yeah, there you go.
say the website was cyberlink.io.
Yeah.
So they just change something simple like the E.
Yep.
Put a 3 in there.
Yeah, that's good.
Cyberlink. So
Yeah.
if you're not like, even for some vigilant, it's easy to miss.
Yep.
So, and good for you when you open that, it has like, it looks similar to probably the home page of Cyberlink. So just a mimicry of the original.
That's awesome. Well placed. Let's give it up. Squatting is web threat are trying to mimic to be someone else they're not. So using ASCII characters that are not that based. So an example is when you see Facebook.com, rather than the A being type of A. Now, the non-natural you're looking at that is either they or think of it. I don't care. So because of that view, different. They have different binary representations because it's mapped to a different type of IP address, which is essentially what happens when you type in a domain name on your computer. It gets resolved into an IP address. So a threat actor can essentially lure you to click on something you think is coming from Cyberlink or from Facebook by changing some characters in there. So that's one of the things that can happen. Go ahead. Yeah, you can. You can. So Daphne was wanting to know if you can use 2 languages in the same domain name. Yes, you can. Yeah. Yeah. They're different. They have different binary representation. Anyway, so we've done that visual look. The next thing we want to look for is the header. So we're looking at who sent this email. This is when we then open the email file in a text editor like we're doing right now. Like I said, you do not want to open this email in an email client. You want to open it into a text editor, something that takes away the rendering of the HTML, right? Because when you use an email client, it renders the HTML. But if you use the text editor that doesn't have HTML rendering enabled, it just presents it as just text to you. So which means that if there's any hyperlink that is in there, it won't actually be a clickable hyperlink. It will just be just text until you actually click on it, and then it becomes or copy it and go paste it out somewhere. So the first place to start is who sent this email. So the sender address and the receiver address is something that you want to look for. So typically, when someone sends you an email, they'll have their own email address in there. I've also seen when threat actors actually don't just use a normal email address. They just put random numbers and characters in there. So it looks like it was sent by an automated system. They're just trying to disguise themselves. So if you're seeing going along, so in this case, we can see that the sender of this particular email is some Tyro Corp. But if you actually have a look at the email itself, you can see that anyone who sees will know that this domain is not exactly Tyro's domain, right? So you can see mfa-settings.secure.omnimicrosoft.com, right? So it's definitely not Tyro domain. But the one thing that I can see by looking at this, I can tell that this email was sent from Outlook, right? The next thing you want to look for is what is the subject. So sometimes the subject can be quite telling. Sorry, the reason I know that it's from Microsoft is it's from Outlook is because it's got the omnimicrosoft.com. That's why I know that it's an Outlook. This was sent from Outlook.
So on Microsoft, that's actually legitimate, basically. It's legitimate, right?
Yeah, because it's a cloud. So the email itself is not legitimate. Just like anyone anywhere in the world can go and create a live email.
It comes from a legitimate, basically.
Yeah, the server that sent it. Yeah. So when you look at that, the next thing you want to look at is the subject of the email. So what is this email actually saying? So typically with phishing emails, there's this level of urgency, buy now, do now, jump in to do something. And that's something that you want to look out for. So that's stir up for you to take action immediately. One other thing you can look for again is essentially the time zone of the email. In this case, this is essentially in UTC. So not much for you to see there. But one other thing you can look out for is when was this email sent, right? If this email was sent out at 2 a.m., it's either it's semi or it's probably some threat actor. Sorry guys, you guys don't get it, Jay, because I'm usually awake very late at night. And we can see here that the language of the email is in US. So that's not necessarily a big deal. The other thing you want to look out for here is who was this email sent to, right? So we can see that the actual sender's email is this, and we can see that the to address, so this is how you find out who it was sent to, is Kenny Suarez, and Kenny received it using this email. So a threat actor is trying to pretend to be from Kenny's organization, right, by sending them this email, making him think that this is a legitimate MFA prompt or reset request. Typically, email bodies are base 64 encoded, so you want to also look at that. So you can, if you have a look here, you can see that all this chunky text is actually just base 64 encoding. So you can see that it says encoding base 64. Who can tell me a tool that we can use to decrypt this or decode it? Oh, you got it. Oh, there you go, man. Good on him. I probably need to learn how to catch. All right. So basically, what we could do in this case is basically copy this whole blob of text. There's a massive chunk of it. I'm sure CyberChef has a rate limit of how much character you can paste in there. It'll fit. Again, you've just done it. All right. So we can literally just copy the whole thing. Oh yeah. Oh boy, that's a lot of text there. So one thing I can already see is that I can see that the content type is image. So it's JPEG, and we can see that the name of the file is refresh.png, right? And you can see here, there's a few things, basically just to, you can see the size. That's pretty chunky, but I'm pretty sure that's in byte, not in gigs. And then, so if we just take that, copy that whole text, just like I just said. Again, remember we're doing a manual analysis, so we're not using any like major tools yet. We're just randomly just looking at the file using the text editor. In which case, we just go to CyberChef, not Cyberlink, Cyberlink with a Y. We go to CyberChef. So CyberChef is essentially a well-known tool that is used for decoding and encoding files. So once you get there, for someone who hasn't seen CyberChef before, looking at this, you're probably feeling like, what are we doing here? Are you going well? Right, cool. What is all this? All this stuff. Well, CyberChef is actually quite a pretty cool tool, and it's actually a very play on word on the name itself. It's basically trying to say that you're so, and to be able to, does anyone know what you need for that? ingredients. So thank you very much. I'll give you a bag. It's all good. I'll give you a bag. On the left side, you see all the ingredients here. So these are the things that you need to be able to cook a nice, juicy. I was going to say chicken. I was going to say chicken soup. I'm not sure if anyone here is vegetarian. If you are, no chicken was killed to make that statement. All right. So a few things you can look for is like what I always tell people to do, those who are starting out, because it takes time for you to sort of know what is in here. The first thing I ask you to search for is magic. So magic is like, does anyone here love cooking? Does anyone here do cooking properly? Daphne, what is that one ingredient that always goes with every single meal? Salt, right? There you go. So magic is like salt. It goes with every single meal. It makes every single meal taste better, right? So what we're doing here is taking magic. So we're just dragging and press and holding the mouse, dragging and dropping it, and then we want to paste our text. So magic is going to do its thing. It's baking a nice soup. Well, you don't bake soup. You guys can tell that I'm really bad at cooking. If I cook something and give it to you, you better run. So it just goes through and does its baking. Now, what magic is doing is magic is looking at this file, analyzing it, and trying to tell me what sort of encoding that file is. So what this does is it allows me to not have to rack my brain or trying to understand what sort of encryption or encoding the file I'm looking at is. By just using magic, it'll just tell me this is base 64 or this is base 65, base 85. So with that, now I know it's base 64. Although the file is the text I copied and pasted in there is massive. So it finished eventually. So we can see that it sort of tried to interesting. So it's got an entropy of 3.5, which means it's not encrypted. So 5 or anything from 5 below, it means that file. Probably wondering what is the difference between encode encrypt. Scramble the text, use a different thing to represent the actual text. You're actually doing, going through. With encryption, you're going through some mathematical, representation of the file, which often requires prime numbers, massive, long prime numbers to be able to do 2 prime numbers to be exact, depending on what encryption algorithm you're working with. But we can have a look here. We can see that there's actually a file that seems to have a very, which tells us this file is probably encrypted. Not necessarily file, that part of the file that we're just looking at. So the first thing we want to start with is, because we know this is base 64, and what I'm also seeing here, based on what CyberChef is telling me, is that there's an element of it that is UTF-8. So we start with the first one that we know of. So let's start with base 64. We get rid of magic. We drag and drop base 64. Again, the same way we search for magic, we search for base. So if you type in the word base, you grab base 64. So there are 2 types. You can either convert a text to base 64, can revert a text back from base 64. So in this case, we are doing from base 64 to ASCII characters. So there we go. So this has been essentially decoded for us. But if we have a look, it still looks very gibberish, right? Now, this is a threat actors would often like to have multiple layers of encoding or encryption. So in this case, what we want to do, painfully so, is copy the same text that has been decoded, delete the first one, paste that in. Hang on. Right. It's a file. That makes sense. Oh, come on. Oh, no. I just needed to get back my file. Yeah, you can also do that as well. I'm trying to take it easy one at a time, right? It's like, oh, you can do everything all at once. I'm like, yeah, there's people here who've never touched CyberChef before. All right, let's do that. So let's do magic again. We'll do base 64 because we've done magic before. So base 64, from base 64. Robin, are you going all good? And then we can see that here. What I actually see here is that this is an image file, which is interesting. I can either save this as a PNG, and it'll probably convert into an image. That's one thing you can do. Now, I'm probably not going to do this on my laptop because There's also another thing that threat actors like to do. This is if you're into pen testing, is you can actually change something called a MIME ID. So every single file you know of, every .exe all have a MIME ID. It's an image file or it's an exe or executable. So you can actually manage MIME file for it to appear as though it's an image when it's actually a Python file that can be executed on your computer. So for that reason, I'm not going you can use Kali Linux. So you're basically editing the actual binary file, the binary of this file, and then you basically change the first four characters within the binary. You can change that to a different MIME code. Next, here, up here.
The magic one, the one picture.
All right, hang on. All right, everyone. So there's output here. Oh yeah. Right. There we go. I had never actually, guys. I just learned something new. I had never used that feature before on CyberChef because I'm always like, I just want to do this. I don't like beautiful things. No, I'm just kidding. So there we go. Now I don't have to download this file and try to figure it out. And look at what we have here. And please don't scan it. I don't believe I have to say that. Yeah, you can scan the one on the top. A barcode, and if you scan this barcode, it actually leads you to a fake Microsoft sign-in account, right, Robin? And yeah, go ahead. Yep. Yep. Sorry, because we don't have a lot of time, we're just going to go straight into the dynamic. Does anyone have any question about manual phishing email analysis? There was one thing I left out, but that's because I don't want to go through too deep into that. If you want to know how to do malware reverse engineering or malware analysis or phishing email analysis, come have a chat with me. You just need to buy one of our courses or come and job ready tracks. Right. Again, like I said, guys, don't forget it's money back guaranteed and it's job guaranteed. So you have absolutely nothing to lose. The one thing we are really good at is helping people actually break into cybersecurity with no fluff. We don't chase certifications. We don't chase certificate. The key outcome that makes people come to us is a job. And for that reason, we're hiring. Anyways, I digress. Sorry, guys. I had to be a sales guy for a second. But yeah, so I think that this is typically what you would do when it comes to manual analysis. There are a bunch of other tools that you can do as well. Like an example is, you see how we've got a link here, right? That link is technically armed because guess what is happening here? The HTML or the UTF has been rendered, which means this is now a hyperlink. So by just clicking on it, it will take me to that link. One thing you can do is you can use something called browserlink.com. So this is a tool that allows you to be able to browse a URL without actually going to the URL on your computer box. Or you can do PNG to URL to PNG, which essentially goes and takes a snapshot of the URL that you're visiting. This is a safe way for you to analyze phishing emails without actually having to go click on it yourself directly. So with that, one by one. So if you're far, does anyone have any questions? Cool. All right. Music to my ears. I'll just tell you, Google. So this is a really, really good tool that allows you to, without you having, sometimes. So no AI is taking my job away. So you go to Sublime Security, just Google that, or I don't know, Bing it. Has anyone ever said the word Bing something? All right. Go to Sublime. You go to the original thing. Then basically, Sublime is an email security gateway or email security scanner or security system.
email thread within your mailbox, as opposed to other mailbox, other applications like your bank account, shortcut your close, or sometimes the camera, so you're coming up something like that. So it works with your mailbox. So you're using Sublime for triaging.
In the chat.
So you could also use Sublime for your personal mailbox to give you 100 free mailbox licenses, but that's self-declaration. Time. But what we'll do is we'll be using Sublime, and because they have a free feature, it's called email analyzer, public, they're available, just you have to sign up for this. What we'll be doing is we'll upload those email files and we'll be analyzing those emails. Email analyzer.
All right. Where do I find that? Go to get started. Yep. Oh, by the way, I kind of want to. I know. We said not to tell them what we did the other night. So Robin and I were. So this doesn't leave this room. So I basically. Oh right. There's always this. So basically, we were basically going and looking at a bunch of emails, and one of the emails we were looking at is one of those fake ATO, claim your money, whatever thing. And no, I didn't. So we basically took the email and then we started analyzing it. And the thread basically took us to Germany. Some, organization. I'm not going to say you guys don't go and try it out yourself. And we noticed that the threat actor was actually hosting the email on that organization server. So it's like someone using Optus Bitcoin email to send out phishing emails and hosting it in there. And when we got in there, we were looking for a way to be able to sign up for free because we wanted to know if the threat actor actually has an account for real on this Tecos platform. So I don't remember what the name was, but please don't share it. Yeah. But anyways, so we basically found out, and we found out that there's actually a way, if you kept going, that you can create an account on that Tecos platform without being verified. So we created an account on on the platform, and we're basically playing along with it. I think at some point we're like borderline crossing the line now. It's probably about time to stop before we get the FBI on our roof. Anyways, so yeah, this is what your curiosity can take you to learn more about what threat actors are doing by following a lot of threat actors are not actually that sophisticated. But anyways, let's get back to the thing because we can already see that we can upload one of the files. So Robin, what file do you want us to upload? Yeah, I like the salary payment update. Is there anyone along? All right. Runs that email against rules and it's AI engine malicious activities, and then Sublime will actually tell you if this email is malicious or not. So you guys remember all that pain that we had to go through. What application to, and then in there and go copy for encoded, the URL for CyberChef, and then pasting it in there, and then having to figure out how to use Cyber Magic, which goes with every single soup, apparently salt, and then got to do some digging around to find out that it's an image QR code. Go ahead. Great question, by the way. So I've noticed, depending on the email client that you use, if you're using Gmail, you can actually save the original file. Yeah, so you just right click on the email and then you can see it tells you to save. So once you save it, it actually saves as an EML file. Now, I've tested this in the lab, that's why I know. If you're using Yahoo, Yahoo, it doesn't let you do that. So what you have to do, which is the hack way to do it, is to go create a burner email. I do think that Proton Mail allows you to download the email as well, so you can use Proton Mail. So create a burner email and then forward that email from your Yahoo email to Proton. So you've kind of propagated malware, but anyways, let's get to the outcome. But that's one way to get around it. But that's a really good question, by the way. Actually, all right, so basically we can see here that Sublime this stuff. Like, look at all of that. Now, this is a bit. Sublime would have seen this type of email multiple times than we have. Look into its database to go, have I seen this sender before? And if it's seen saying, hey, I've seen this sender send something malicious before, so this is very likely malicious. So the score goes up. And then we can see all that message details. So things like, the message ID. So you can see doing.crimes@gmail.com. Doing crimes. Doing crimes@gmail. I'll be surprised why you clicked it. In their dream home, I don't know. They were buying a home, and the home was, I don't know, $1 million or so. So, what? So they had no reason to not to suspect it or not believe this. That the convention was who they say they were. They check it and $50,000, and apparently the criminal lives in Melbourne. Yeah, so the bank eventually gave them back the money, but I guess why I chose to tell that story is that when you hear that Optus has been breached or Medibank has been breached, people don't realize that it actually has massive personal impact in cybersecurity. It's not right there when it got breached. It's that your files and your details and your password and your username have been shared with the threat actor. And this is exactly why we got the issue with I highly suspect that that issue with the superannuation companies had to do with, I'm not going to point a finger, it has to do with either two of, and I'm going to get to you. When is threat actor then able to, including actually getting a mortgage on your name, then go, you're over $500. You're like, what on earth? I don't know. Yeah. So these are the things. So this is why you need to make sure that you obviously have MFA and whatnot. I think everyone here is obviously cyber aware, so I don't have to tell you guys this. But cybersecurity is essentially a problem, permeating every single society. Often I see the aged and the elderly are those who fall prey to it a lot of the times, because they just get a call from some guy saying, some guy with a thick, again, I'm not having to go at Indians here. My brothers from Africa, they do it too. So that's why we started CyberLink to help stop it. But someone with a very strong Indian accent, he says his name is George. I'm like, George? George? What do you mean you're George? But anyways, and that I remember dealing with a couple recently. Her details got stolen, and she actually almost sent $5,000 to them. Literally, if not for her daughter, she would have sent it. She went to put the post office, bought the $5,000 worth of gift card. and was about to send it before her daughter called her and like, "Mom, what are you doing?" And she's like, "Sending some gift cards," and the post office didn't even ask. They're making money, I guess. So this is typically how you would analyze an phishing email. The one thing that I left out here is, and the reason I chose this one is this is exactly what happened in that couple's case where they sent money to the wrong person. This email, someone has obviously infiltrated and sent this email to Pamela. If Pamela was expecting a bank details from someone that she knew, she might even just look at this and think, "Oh, that's the email I was expecting from, I don't know, George." And she would unintentionally go and send that money to George, right? So that's essentially the key thing here. And this is how you would go forward and analyze the rest of the phishing emails that you can see in that lab file in a dynamic way. And Robin, do you have anything else to add? Free money. Thanks, everyone.